guys, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be doing my faves and flops so far of 2022, February faves and flops, but I did not do one for January because a lot of my best and beauty of 2021 kind of ran into January, so I felt like we didn't need a whole other faves and flops video right away. Also, I just felt like January can be kind of a slow month for products. For launches and stuff. After the holidays, I find there's not quite as many products being launched. Kind of waited until now, and I definitely have a nice little collection here of products I really fell in love with for so many different reasons. Also some flops. We do have some flops. So if you're interested in finding out what I've really been loving, really recommend as top-notch products and the products that really weren't worth the purchase so that you can save your money, then keep on watching. So the first product that I've really been loving, I've actually had for a few months now at least, and I had used maybe once or twice when I first got it, didn't really form much of an opinion about it. I didn't honestly, when I pulled this out of my collection to start testing again, I didn't even remember what I thought of it. I did a testing new drugstore video. That was when I actually did my pregnancy announcement. If you are new here, surprise, I'm pregnant. I tested a bunch of new drugstore and I threw this in the mix because, as I said, I didn't remember what I felt about it. And this is the Catrice Prime and Fine Poreless Blur Primer. It is the Goodbye Pores. So this primer I really have been enjoying. I've used it many times since. It's honestly been one I've been gravitating towards, and I really think it is a good affordable option for those who are looking for smoother skin, who struggle with texture, enlarged pores, and I do also find it does prolong the wear of your makeup. So as you can see, it has that kind of silicone-y texture. I do believe it does actually contain silicone. Yeah, I believe it does contain silicone. So if you're opposed to silicone, obviously this won't be for you, but if you have used silicone primers before and you enjoyed them, you will really like this. It reminds me of the Professional, and I really have enjoyed this because it's obviously a much more affordable option. You get 30 milliliters. I believe it's definitely under $15. I find the makeup sits really nicely and smooth on top. It does a great job at smoothing the skin, and as I said, I do feel like my makeup lasts quite a while with this. I have really been loving this and definitely recommend. Next we have the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This is actually a newer find for me, a newer review that I've done, but as soon as I tested it, honestly after day one, I knew I loved it, and I have tested it multiple times since, so I really have gotten a good feel for this one. I honestly truly do understand why this gets so much hype and everybody raves about it over on TikTok, basically everywhere. This is a viral foundation right now. Honestly, can stand by everything that everybody is saying about it. It is an extremely easy to use, blendable foundation that covers quite well. I do have acne prone red skin, like I do have a lot of redness, I have scarring, I have breakouts quite frequently, and does it completely give you full coverage? No, but it doesn't claim for that, like to be that. So it says it's a medium coverage foundation, and I would say it is quite buildable up to like a good medium coverage, not quite full, but a good medium coverage. So even if you do struggle with redness and scarring and acne, I think that this will help really blur and conceal them quite well. The reason I love it though the most is it is one of the most skin-like foundations I've ever used. It honestly, even with 2 layers, doesn't even look like you're wearing foundation. Especially if you are one to not use powder, if you like to just use foundation and you find you don't need to set it down, you would seriously look like you're wearing absolutely nothing. Now, once you apply concealer and powder, it does look a little bit more like makeup, but is still so incredibly natural, and it does last a really long time. Especially, it was impressive on my skin being combo oily, because typically for foundations that are more on the hydrating, light reflecting side, they have to be really good to hold up to my oily skin, and this one did. Now, did I have zero shine by the end of the day? Absolutely not. So if you are oily, you know, It's not mattifying, but it does hold up to your shine really well. It doesn't break down. Super impressive. Definitely worth the hype, and I definitely recommend. The next products here are from Rare Beauty. Rare Beauty recently did a launch where she did come out with some new products, but these are new shades in an existing formula. So if you have never heard of the Rare Beauty liquid blush, you need to grab it right now because it is so incredible. I've raved about these before. They're pigmented, they're blendable, they're a little intimidating, but once you get a feel for the formula, they're honestly foolproof. Like, you can apply too much and then still end up having the most incredible blush ever. They're easy to work with, easy to blend out, and a little does go a long way. These are in the dewy formula, and the reason I included them in today's video is for the new shades. So this is the shade Encourage, which is a nice like neutral soft pink. It's stunning. And then the darker one, Believe, is like a nice mauvey tone. They both are very neutral, so I feel like they would be some of the most universally loved shades. I think they're very everyday shades. A lot of the other ones I mentioned in my review are very bright or very dark or very warm. These are super nice, neutral, verging on cool toned, everyday shades. So I honestly love not only the formula, but these shades are like to die for. Definitely my favorite. Speaking about cream blush, I have to give a quick mention to the Merit Flush Balm Cheek Color. I have mentioned this before. I did a review of pretty much the whole entire collection. Merit recently gifted me some new products to test. I did a little review over on my Instagram. I was so mad though because I did like one of my first reels ever and it took the audio out. Like, I lost the audio and I had already done it twice. Luckily I put captions in, so I thought you guys will get the point. But honestly, love, love, love this formula. Super lightweight, easy to work with, pigmented, blendable. Mentioned it before, but the reason I'm including this one is also for the shade. This is the shade Mood. So nice for these like wintry months, but even still, like, even if you were to kind of sheer it out a little bit, which I know it looks intimidating, but once you blend it in, it is one of the most flattering shades ever and so natural, but it's this nice like rich berry tone. It's so pretty, and it would be really nice on darker skin tones as well. Moving on, we have the Natasha Denona Rose Cheek Duo. This is honestly one of my favorite cheek products from Natasha Denona I've ever tested because it is one of the most everyday color schemes I have seen. This blush color is like a nice kind of soft rose pink. It is probably the most everyday shade I've personally tested from Natasha Denona. A lot of the other ones have a really, really bright kind of coral or like more dark. I find this is the most everyday, and the highlight is actually the one I'm wearing today. Is absolutely stunning as well. The formulas are pigmented, blendable, super lightweight, easy to work with, creamy, you know, finely milled. I'm absolutely obsessed with this little guy right here. Definitely recommend. And it's only 25 US, 33 Canadian. I know that's expensive for two little cheek products, but for Natasha Denona quality, I think it's worth it. And it's a way to test their cheek products in a more affordable way, because then you don't have to get this giant palette for like $80. And to go along with that, I really loved the Mini Biba eyeshadow palette. This was kind of a little duo here, and it really goes well together. So if you're wanting to like match your eyes and your cheeks, definitely recommend grabbing both. This is honestly probably my favorite haul from Natasha Denona. I don't know, it's hard because like I love the Glam palette. The Glam palette's probably my favorite palette from Natasha Denona, but in terms of the mini palettes, definitely my favorite little duo. It's honestly probably one of my favorite looks I've created with Natasha Denona. It was so incredibly easy to work with. The mattes are pigmented, blendable as per usual, and it just has such a nice like kind of neutral undertone to it. Aside from this peach color here, like these ones are super everyday neutral. And this metallic is absolutely to die for. It doesn't get much better than that. Like, holy smokes, it's stunning. Definitely a favorite, and I could see myself loving this all year round. Moving on, we have the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Lunar Lights. This was a part of their Lunar New Year collection, which is limited edition. So if you want to grab this, I encourage you guys to do so soon because I never know how long these are going to last. This is honestly one of my favorite highlights currently at the moment and in a long time. Every time I use it, I'm like, holy smokes, that's stunning. Seriously, it is the most beautiful shade. It's like kind of a golden champagne. I don't know. It has a very interesting tone to it, but it is absolutely stunning. It's so flattering. The formula we already know and love, so I definitely recommend this shade. I honestly think it would be so good for all skin tones. I seriously do, because it's not too light, but it's not too dark either. It's really so incredible. Did I even swatch it? Not yet. It's like, is that gold? Is that champagne? I don't know, but it's beautiful. So then we also have another eyeshadow palette, and this is the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton collab. This is the Mothership Diamond of the First Water eyeshadow palette. Is the collab with the show Bridgerton that's on Netflix. I personally haven't seen the show, but it is about like the British back in the day romance kind of, you know, theme. So it has a very rosy toned, rose and berry toned color scheme. If you eliminate this blue, it looks like a very just kind of rosy tone shade. It has a lot of those rosy pinks. It has a nice kind of plummy shade, some beautiful metallics. Like, let me tell you, this is probably one of my favorite shades from the palette. Incredible. Like the creamiest metallic ever. It feels and looks like butter. It's so pigmented. It has a beautiful finish. So pretty. But not only does it have a nice kind of somewhat everyday rosy tone color scheme to it, it then has this pop of like a blue duochrome that just is out of this world. When you look at it on its own, it's maybe not, like when you look at it up close, you're like, yeah, but it's kind of more sheer, but when the light hits it, like, do you guys see that? That shift, that bam. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful like on top of shades. Like, let me apply it over top of that metallic that I showed you. Like, it just takes things to a new level. So that's what I love about Pat McGrath. It's very unique tones of unique shades, but I do like that it still comes with, you know, lighter shades to still do everyday looks with. You can do everyday, super glam, really versatile palette. And forgot to mention, these two shades right here are a satin finish, and they're almost like a cream to powder in some ways. Like the finish kind of comes off that way. So they're like no fallout, super like creamy, very unique finish, not powdery, like virtually powderless. And they have like a slight pearl finish to them, but I use them as mattes and they just look like the most seamless, buttery, blendable mattes ever. They're so, so incredible. Formula, color scheme through and through, I love. Definitely recommend. Again, another limited edition. So jump on it if you want it. So we're gonna kind of shift from makeup to a little bit of hair care and skincare, and then we'll talk about the flops. So this product is a moisturizer that I've been testing for the last, a little bit over a month now. I'm actually almost out and I will be repurchasing this. It is the Inky List Omega Water Cream. So this is new and it is a water-based moisturizer. So it's supposed to be lightweight and hydrating. It has a gel-like texture to it, which is so incredibly lightweight. You barely feel like you're putting anything on. But what I love about this is not only is it lightweight for us oily, you know, combination skin tones, but it's also still has that nourishing creaminess to it. A lot of gel moisturizers I find don't give you that like quench to your skin, that like creamy, you're applying hydration. Sometimes it just feels like you're like applying like a cooling water on your, like it feels like you're putting water on your face, and then you're like, okay. This leaves your skin feeling supple and hydrated without the oiliness to a cream. It still has that gel, water-based texture, but it still gives you that nourishment and that like quenching feeling. So that's what I love about this. I use it morning and night, and I have been for a little over a month. I'm almost out, but it is so good. I recommend for sure you get a 50 milliliters, which is 1.7 fluid ounces. Again, it is so cheap and it's available at Sephora. So everything about it is awesome. I love the Inky List. A big chunk of my skincare is from the Inky List, and this is another hit from them, I personally think. And I also have had 0 breakouts from it. I don't think it overhydrates my skin. I don't think it underhydrates. Like, it doesn't leave my skin feeling dehydrated, but it also doesn't, you know, clog my pores or give too much hydration where I'm shiny. It is like the perfect amount. And then the last fave of the month is the Fanola No Yellow Care Shampoo. So obviously you will be able to tell that my hair is mainly blonde, and I got that done about almost 6 months ago now. It was like up here. Now I wanted like a balayage, so it's growing out perfectly. I actually think I prefer it now with a little more roots to it. I had been purple shampooing when I first got it done to keep it nice and blonde. And then I ran out, and I meant to grab this because my hairdresser recommended it. Also, friends have recommended it. And I've been told it's the best purple shampoo you can get. It's like the same as going to get a tone from the hairdresser. And I was like, oh wow, we gotta try this. But I am like a big procrastinator in a lot of ways, especially with my purchases. Like, you get it on Amazon, which number one, I love because it was delivered right to my door within a day or two. It was awesome. But I just kept thinking, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll order it tomorrow, or I'll be making an order on Amazon, and I'm like, oh, I'm already spending this much. I'll get it next time. I went like a couple months without purple shampoo. I don't know why. It's like, so it's not that expensive. So I got 2 bottles, 350 milliliters for $24.99 plus tax. You can get 1,000 milliliters for $32. I honestly don't know why I didn't get that. I thought this was a better deal. They're about a similar deal. So you can get a big bottle for under 35 bucks, or you can get the 2. There's different price options and size options. But I finally got it, and I've used it about 4 or 5 times now. And even after the first time using it, I noticed a significant difference in my hair. Already looked way less yellow. Like, my hair was looking like yellow. It's still, there's pieces in it that still are a little brassy. Like, on this side, I have like a piece in here. I don't know if you guys can see. It's like kind of, this used to be like orange, I'm telling you. So it has made a drastic difference to my hair. I used it every time I washed my hair for the first 3 or 4 times. I only wash my hair about twice a week though, so it's not like I'm doing it every day. You can really go by what you want. I know my hairdresser recommended if you want a little bit of warmth in your hair to use it every 3rd wash. So I'm gonna keep using it, but I just already knew it was so good because number one, it was recommended by so many people, and from my experience so far over the last few weeks, incredible how much it's changed my hair. I'll even show you. I did a little hair tutorial. I followed a tutorial, and I remember watching that back, and I think that night I ordered the purple shampoo because I was like, holy smokes, I didn't realize how yellow my hair is. It looked so yellow. Turned around backwards. I did that today. You can see drastically how different and how more, like, it looks so much more ashy and toned. It still has a ways to go, but it is so incredible. Hands down the best purple shampoo I've ever used. And it really doesn't dry my hair out that much. I've used purple shampoos where I've rinsed them out after leaving them for 8 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, you know, between 5 and 10 minutes, and my hair feels like straw and it's like dry. This honestly, like, it's not gonna hydrate your hair by any means. It's still gonna dry it out a bit, but it doesn't feel super dry like my hair normally does after a purple shampoo. So I do really like that it's also not damaging my hair. It's not, you know, super drying to the hair, and it is also vegan if that's important to you. Those are my favorites of the month, or of the year, I guess. Really incredible products that I recommend, and I think you guys would love them. Now let's get into the products that aren't so good. I recently, as I said, reviewed a bunch of stuff from Rare Beauty, and unfortunately this one just didn't do it for me. It is the loose powder. It's not horrible by any means, but I just personally didn't love the way it set my makeup. I felt it didn't lock my makeup in. I felt it was a little bit drying to the skin and didn't kind of set the makeup down with that smooth airbrush finish. It isn't great for baking. It is actually like, I don't recommend baking with it. I felt it didn't set my under eyes very well. And I just overall didn't love the way it sat on the skin, held the makeup together, or set anything down. Personally think that you can find much better. And no, hate towards Rare Beauty. I absolutely love the brand and almost everything I've tested, but this one just wasn't it for me. Talking about powders, I tried the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, and I honestly went into this thinking it's gonna be magical. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be my like drugstore favorite, because I have quite a few powder foundations that I love, and they're all quite pricey. So I'm like, oh cool, this is gonna be an affordable option, blah, blah, blah. It was one of the worst powder foundations I've ever tested. It barely had any coverage, like it didn't build very well. It didn't sit nicely on the skin, and it almost like wiped off if you touched your face. It looked super drying on the skin. It accentuated texture, and it was not smoothing by any means. I honestly really didn't like it, and I have used it since just to set down makeup, not just as a powder foundation, because it's technically a face powder. So you can use it alone or to set makeup. I didn't like it to set makeup either. It gave the same results, dry, didn't sit nicely on the skin, looks kind of textured and yucky. It just looked yucky. The next fail is the ColourPop Glow Getter eyeshadow palette. I recently tested the little trio of eyeshadow palettes from the It's a Bug's Life collection. I honestly was disappointed by this one. I did a look with all three palettes. The So Fly was stunning, very unique. The Wannabe was super pretty, nice warm toned palette. Formulas were beautiful, blendable. This one, the color scheme is nice. I actually really liked the color scheme of this one looking at it. And the metallics, don't get me wrong, are actually they're quite pretty. Teal aqua, and then the one in the middle is actually really nice and bright. I was very sad to see that it didn't turn out as a good palette, because when you see these metallics, they're so pretty. But it was the mattes that I overall think is what made me dislike this palette. This shade and this shade, both I found were not pigmented at all. I built them and I built them and I built them. And don't get me wrong, they're light shades. They're not supposed to be dark or, intense, but you still want the color to show up, and you shouldn't have to build it and build it and build it. And I found even after building it, it didn't show up almost at all. This shade here was a little bit better, but still was a little like kind of faded. It wasn't rich, and it wasn't super pigmented and creamy like their typical mattes. And the black, it was okay. It's a black. It's gonna be pigmented, but I found it looked like the overall word I would say to describe these matte shades is faded. They looked faded, unpigmented, not rich by any means. So I personally think that it is just a pass for me. I wouldn't recommend purchasing it. I think the other two from the collection are great, so I personally wouldn't waste my money on it if I were you. And then last but not least, we have one more flop. It is the Essence Hello Good Stuff Volume Mascara. So if you watched my review of the drugstore products, when I mentioned I reviewed the Catrice primer, I also reviewed this baby right here. I actually loved this. I loved this by the end of the video. I loved it. It honestly gives nice volume, decent length. I like the brush. I like the formula. I liked the way my lashes looked afterwards. I was using it multiple times. I'm like, this is great. It's so cheap. Cool, cool, cool. But then I noticed I kept getting like flaking. And at first I'm like, oh, it must have been I was like playing with my lashes, whatever. But even when I made a point to not touch my eyes, I noticed like there was flaking, little like bits of mascara by the end of the day, or even by the middle of the day, were on my cheek. So it is a flaky formula in my opinion. I unfortunately, even though it looks nice, I don't recommend it, because you're gonna end up with little bits on your, under eyes, on your cheeks. So it's not a cute look, Not everything can turn out perfectly. So that is the end of my faves and flops. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this video helpful, found some, good product recommendations. And if you do end up purchasing these, I will have them linked down below, but I hope you guys enjoy them just as much as I did. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.